Hello, everyone. So we have 3 languages today: Russian, English, Italian, and Spanish. 4 languages. So there is some white noise based on the feedback that we get from our listeners. So could you please give me a score from 1 to 10 on the quality of the sound? Okay, I'm gonna plug in my headphones. Well, at the moment, meanwhile, you can participate in the survey that we are conducting right now. It's our survey. So let's launch it once again. So no experience 25%, up to 1 year 20%, up to 3 years 28%, up to 5 years 22%, and 32% up to 20 years. Perfect. Then we have people who have experience in investing up to 20 years. Great, then I'm gonna shut down the survey and let's start our work today. Today we are going to cover these topics over here: harmonic model of personal development, investments, investing, what's the difference, how $1 can be turned into $1 million. I think that's something you might find interesting. 8 rules of a private investor. I will explain to you how those rules were created and why they were created. Then item 5, financial plans that allow you to retire for 12 years of your investment activity. Common mistakes when investing, investment strategies, investment portfolio, its varieties and classifications. New, what is it? Part 1, crypto unit program, closed club. Then the announcement of the courses from the Academy of Private Investor, and the game-based training, Genius of Finance and Development Prospects of Your Own Business. So let's start. My name is Andrey Khovratov, and I'm going to have a question for you. And while you participate in the survey, I will tell you a few words about myself. So it's for those of you, it's a question regarding how often do you participate and attend our trainings and events that I conduct too. And meanwhile, I will be telling you about myself. So I am the author and the creator of the Academy of Private Investor. In 2011, I created the Academy. On the 15th of September, we had the official opening of the Academy. And I'm going to dig up the video, our first presentation, and I'm gonna post the link, and you can listen to what I said back then in 2011, what we expected in 2014, 2016, 17, 18, and most of it has already come through, and we can witness it with our own eyes. And also, I'm behind the consumer society new economic evolution of the world. I'm also a multidisciplinary professional investor. There are different disciplines in investing, like real estate. There are really great experts in real estate, professional experts, and those are the people I train from. Then there are other great professionals that I trained from in forex exchange and forex and stock markets, how to bring company to the IPO, spot market, like trades in options and futures. And every market has its own experts and professionals. There are professional traders in other areas as well. So let's shut down the survey. So multidisciplinary professional means that I invested in different investment market segments, 22 of them, and I have various experience in different areas. I know the pitfalls, risks, and return in different areas. Therefore, I'm a professional investor, and one of the main tasks of the Academy of Professional Investor is to create a huge army in 2020 of up to 10,000 investment consultants who I would like to become such in 3-5 years. And I'm the author of the Crypto Unit program and the Dream Master as well, Dream Maker. And I often go to Moscow. So we have an office of the Academy of Private Investor, and I will be conducting live meetings as well. And this year, the upcoming year, is going to be a very intensive year. I will be visiting Europe, India, Australia, the United States. I will be presenting the 8 rules of wealth, the genius of finance. I'm going to England, Vietnam. So in the upcoming year, 2020, I personally want to meet people who would like to set on the path of investment development and would like to become multidisciplinary professional investors. So if you have your dreams, most ambitious dreams, put them down. You can start planning starting on the 26th of December until the 5th of January. This is a very good period for eliminating negative thoughts and eliminating negative past, and start creating or visualizing your future for the next 18-20 years. So one of the main tasks for 2020 is to engage in active education and training of those people who want to become multidisciplinary professional investors, who would like to become the makers of their own destinies, and to make it in such a way as to make other people's envy you and say, like, that person is really the master of his own life and his destiny. He can help himself and other people too. I'm also the co-author of the Genius of Finance game-based training. In 2017, we developed this game in the Academy of Private Investor with the participation of Igor Romanenko, our investment consultant, Antonina Kianovskaya, who is the co-author of the game. And it turned out to be a very strong training. Not just training per se, but a training to achieve fast performance. So it's a board game, and which lasts 4 or 5 hours. And if a person attended 10 classes, then it is 100% guaranteed that in the next 3-5 years he's going to become rich and will avoid mistakes he has been making in the past. I'm also the master in network business management. I started in 1997 as an investor in one of the insurance companies. I came in there to invest, and then in 1998, I started working as an investor for. First, I worked as an investor for the insurance company, and then I started working as a distributor for a multi-level marketing company. And 1 year later, I became the best seller. And 3 years later, I generated the highest income. And then I worked for another company and helped this company to penetrate international markets, including India. And in 2004, 2005, I trained in the International Academy of Information Technologies by Zhukovsky, and that's where I became master in network business management. And one of our tasks for the next year is to introduce two important occupations: is the multi-level crowd investing manager and the master in multi-level crowd investing. I'm also the host of The Secret of a Millionaire with Andrey Khovratov's program at the Success Channel. Then we have also an online YouTube channel, Secrets of a Millionaire. Last year, I was one of the best business coach in financial investment personal development of 2018, according to the Mellon Rich and Finance Times Business Journal. I was very glad to learn that they gave me this award, because it is always nice when your achievements are recognized, and recognition is one of the important factors in your personal development. Some people can call it vanity, but I call it recognition, because one of the main objectives and purposes of the Academy and the new movement is to recognize the achievements of our partners and colleagues that move forward. And also, I'm the chairperson of the Investment Council and the movement World's Millionaires, and I am the general of the World's Generals for Peace. And I was also pleasantly surprised to get this award, although of course they told me in advance that I was going to get it, but it was very pleasant for me nevertheless. Especially it was pleasant for my mother, because my mother told me when I was 18 that, son, I would like you to one day to become a general, and I did. So in the last year, the Academy of Private Investor signed an agreement of support with that association, and this year I was surprised when they nominated me for and then I was nominated one of the 100 renowned people of Russia in this. It's an encyclopedia of famous Russian people. So those of you who are listening, dear friends, when you are doing your business, your job, and all those moments of recognition and awards, it helps you realize that you're doing something good, and you're working for the benefit of society and the humankind. And then you already have satisfaction from them, and then they award you with something, and it gives you even more satisfaction. So I sincerely wish that all of you experience that. So I've been now involved in this business for almost 30 years. So you can see that I have extensive experience in entrepreneurial business, in the consumer business. I did hold retail shops and wholesale warehouses and the lubricants and oils business. It was quite a difficult time immediately after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Nevertheless, we survived, and in early 2000s, I started doing investments in real estate, and I have professional experience in investing. And in 2011, I created the Academy of a Private Investor. My goal was to educate public in financial investment literacy. And when in 2015 we started translating our materials into English, and then in 2017 in Italian and Spanish, I realized that the experience that I gained throughout my life is in demand in many countries of the world. And you realize that even most experienced and seasoned investors still do not understand a lot of things. And this is, I think, is the major problem right now, that those seasoned financial players and experts still are not fully aware of the current situation. So over the last 30 years, just an example for you, the investment world has become speculative. One of the strategies that is set in stone in people's brain when they start doing investment is that you can now invest 1 cent or $1, and tomorrow you will get 1 million. Like, do it faster, bring me your money. That's the strategy that has been developed over the last 30 years. Instead of pursuing development of the entire society and focusing on receiving dividend income as much as possible, but to focus on investing $1 today and getting 1 million tomorrow. Well, today we're gonna review some of the materials and see with our own eyes that there are companies that if you had invested in those companies several years ago, $1, you would have more than $1 million today. But over the last 30 years, unfortunately, they imposed this negative mindset, that speculative mindset, that you should invest small amount of money today and then you will get a lot of money tomorrow. Or, they also focus on getting the inside information and inside trading. So, and if you have a chance of laying your hands on such information, then you have success. I think this is corrosion, like a corrosion of metal, and this is the corrosion of an investment mentality. And I would like to share with you today the fundamentals of investing and how I personally see the society should move on in the world of investing. Because if we continue and persist using the old methods people used 10, 25 years ago, then there is nothing good in store for us in the future. And if we change our approach and way of thinking, investment way of thinking, and I call it the right way of investment thinking, then in the next 5, 10, 15 years, we will not only become rich and a rich personality, and the entire society will be rich as well, and the state too, of course, and the entire planet of Earth, people will become quite rich. And one of my missions,
not one of, but actually my mission, my purpose is to educate people and make them financially literate, to help millions of people in the next 5 years to become dollar millionaires of new type, may not be dollar millionaires, but millionaires in the relevant equivalent. And my next task is to educate people worldwide, 15% of the global population, to give them an information that irrespective of the knowledge they have in investing, they can get the most valuable thing, that is to have always money on their hands and to have high level quality of life. And now let's start from the beginning. what you need to understand before you may proceed to investing, to becoming wealthy, well off, and becoming a well-off personality. The first thing, dear friends, I would like to talk with you is what the harmonized model of personal development is. Generally, many people, and the term of wealth means many money, a lot of money. When I was 20 years of age, I thought that as soon as I become rich, everything would be fine. I wanted to get a lot of money, and at 24, at that time, I had almost 200,000 US dollars, out of which 80,000 was paid quite soon, and another 120,000 was retained, and I started doing business. And you imagine when you are 24 years of age, and it was 1994, 1993, 200,000 US dollars, it's like today I have at least 2-3 million US dollars. Imagine when you are quite young, you are outgoing, and for you to understand the comparison, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and my dad wanted to build a house, and the construction material for a 200 square meters house, it required only about 17,000. And actually, I gave everything to him to construct that house. But unfortunately, he exchanged the US dollars into the national currency of the country where I lived. And quite soon, this money cost nothing because of devaluation. And the reason I'm saying this, talking to many young people, over the last 20 years, or 30 years actually, no matter who I talk to, most youngest treat wealth as a lot of money, but actually it's not this way. The wealth of the harmonized personality, this is like 5 fingers, where the first finger is our health, the second one is appropriate attitude to yourselves, first of all, to the city where you reside, to the house or the place where you live, to people that surround you, to people living in your country. So relationships to some events or incidents in your life, it's very important, because our attitude actually determines, or attitude to anything determines our follow-up development and perception. Our relations are created by our emotions, the third pillar. This is an emotional element. You know this finger and what it means. Emotions, it's like a switch button of your state, either positive or negative. Positive state is a plus, negative state is a minus. So your emotions, so in terms with regard to your relations to any situations, you provoke different emotions that either deteriorate and crash the life of a person or improve it. And if your life goes the wrong direction, does not take the direction you want to, you need to judge yourselves. It's important to control your emotions. In due time, when I did business in different segments, I lost the money, and actually in my life, I 5 times lost the money, and twice was bankrupt. Actually, I was very upset, I was stressed, and my health was quite bad because my attitude to some situations was not correct. And I remember in 1998 there was a default in the former Soviet Union, in the former Soviet countries, and at that time I lost. Actually, I had to sell everything, and I had to find another 10,000. And one of my friends said I had minus 10,000, but he had minus 100,000 US dollars. Imagine, this is 1998. quite a huge amount of money. And today, for you to understand, it would be similar to 1 million, I think, and my 10,000 would be similar to 100,000. And at that time, I was extremely upset. I didn't want to go out. I stayed at home and perceived everything with pessimism. And we had a chat with him. We're drinking some beer. There were some other guys who were upset. And for example, he collided. He had a car crash. So with the whole speed, he crashed into a vehicle, into a cargo vehicle, because of this problem. And he said, "What is your problem? You know, I lost 10,000 and I am in debt to all my relatives." And he said, "So please be careful." And he said, "Andrey, you lost only your money. You still have two hands, you still have two legs, you can listen, you can talk, you can walk freely, you can communicate, you have people who love you, they are your relatives, you know? Money is simply the paper which today you have, tomorrow you don't have. Start thinking why you lost this paper and correct the mistakes made to avoid this losing next time." Well, you know, after this chat, actually, I was touched so hard that next morning I was actually excited and said, "Yes, it is only money. I have legs, I have hands, I can talk, I can communicate with people, I can talk on the phone, I can learn something new, some new skills." And after that, my life took a different path. And then in 2008, I became bankrupt again. And at that time, it was 1 million. And here, I will tell you why I got into that situation. It is one of the rules of the private investor. And then in 2008, we met my friend again, and there was minus 8 million. We were in loans, in credits. Then at that time, we were in real estate segment. And why I believe that the evil is loans or credits. And those of you who would like to take a loan or do something with the involvement of loans, dear friends, after today's webinar, you will understand that loans, you don't need them. You need to get rid of them. And nowhere there is such a credo or motto to follow. The most important principle that avoid loans, credits are not for you. Because I want to tell you, should on the planet be all the people stopping to get credits or loans, today's financial system, which we have today, the banking system of finance, so the banking system, because the financial system is a different thing. Today's banking system would behave in a different way rather than it does today, because today the banking system is a penalizer. And you know, I can compare today's banking system to inquisition, financial inquisition. And therefore, if all the people on the planet stop getting loans, then this banking system would be different, and they won't be so aggressive or bossy as they are today. They won't be the penalizer. And one of the purposes of the Academy of Private Investor is to make people financially literate and to teach them that loans are an evil thing. And in 2008, let's come back there, when I was in real estate business, I was the top leader in multi-crowd business, and I earned 7 million US dollars in 2007. My assets cost over 20 million US dollars. But at the end of 2000, I had minus 1 million and my friend had minus 8 million. And actually I was upset again. I got to know some lawyers who actually assisted me to avoid this bankruptcy. And I gave their contacts to him, and we had a chat with him again. And you know, he said, "I am 45 and I want to provide as the I want my kids to inherit something, but actually if I sell everything, I will be in debt. And then I told me, how are you feeling? He said, bad, I don't want to leave. And then I told him, do you remember in 1998 when I had a similar situation? Actually, he didn't remember. You told me you have hands, you have legs, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a mom, a dad, and you have yourselves, and you did 25 million, and then you will do something else. And the day after, he phoned me back and said, Andrey, thank you very much for this inspiration. I didn't remember that I told you something like this in 1998, but I know today that we can do everything. We will renovate and restore everything. And he changed everything. And over the next 2 years, following these 8 rules of a private investor, he managed to resolve everything. And he actually get rid of those unpleasant situations he faced. So emotions, dear friends, are an important factor, and they affect what a person gets. And one of the key tasks is to shape positive emotions to those situations. The fourth principle is financial development, because many people say that being a wealthy means having a lot of money. When I was 24, 25, I thought that I'm wealthy. I had 200,000, and out of which 120,000 was invested into the business. Another 80,000 was lost, was spent on something else. I don't remember actually, but it's quite typical that 1 year after, out of this 120,000, only 25,000 was retained. I lost a part of my business 1 year after, and it's quite interesting to note. And the interesting thing is that when you lose your money, the brains, when you earn a lot of money, the brains of a person becomes like a jelly. It does not respond appropriately to those things which it should. And actually, I had this when I was 24 years of age, and I saw some young people that within very short period of time earned very good money. And what happened next? They were without nothing. They became beggars because but before they had huge amounts of money earned. And one of the most important tasks, dear friends, is to create a financially developed personality, not simply earn money, because later on we will talk about 8 rules of a private investor. One of the key tasks is to make sure that a person should learn to preserve and multiply a part of the money earned. Many people say that I will firstly earn money and then start learning to invest. But actually, the first time I heard the word investing, I was 25 years of age. Maybe I will ask our colleagues to share the link to one of the videos I shot. This is a prison stock exchange, when one accountant got imprisoned, and there they made a brokerage company, and they owned 25% of the stock market of the US because he was a good broker analyst. Please watch this movie. It is very old, somewhere in 1980s, but at that time I heard the word investing, and I started to invest everywhere I can. And until 1995, 1994, I invested mostly in pyramids where I lost my money. They were either scams or pyramids. And dear friends, one of the key goals is financial development, but be a harmonized personality. A person may not develop only this way. When I was young, I thought that wealth means money, but this development leads to nowhere. You need to develop this way, developing these 5 pillars. And the second pillar is purpose, mission, and vacation in your life. So as soon as you have the purpose or mission in your life, money comes to you on their own. You may get them even from those sites you never expect from. And one of the goals of the Academy, we want to launch it in 2020. It is the courses, our courses that will be delivered live, a game of life and the magic of success, another course. And for a person to realize and identify his purpose and mission, because a person in this case does not actually need to work, but he will be quite wealthy. Therefore, the true harmony is like 5 fingers on your hand. Maybe I delayed us, but I wanted to show you that this is a very important aspect of your personal development. And if you start only from money, or only from health, or only from finding my mission, my purpose, no, dear friends. So these 5 pillars are a must. They should be in harmony and balanced. And this way you need to start your developing. There is such a term, such a notion as, you know, the wheel of a life balance. So we discuss this through Master Profit course. We have a good course there, a Master of Balance, but this is a sign. This is the understanding of what true wealth is, the harmonic model of personal development. Please write down plus or write down, yes, I understand that these 5 pillars are the foundation for the harmonic model of personal development. If you don't, please put down minus or write down, I didn't understand something. I didn't get what you are talking about. With some comments, if possible. Perfect. And I would like to hear the feedback from newcomers, because today, to take care only of business or health, to care about one pillar only, it's a way to nowhere. It's not appropriate. Can we post the links here in English, Italian, and Spanish? Can you post the links to me if we have speakers from other chats? Okay, we are moving on, dear friends. Let's talk what investments are and investing and how they are different.
So put it down. Investments is investing money in financial instruments and objects with the purpose of getting profit. So when I started learning investments myself, they told me that invest in shares and shares price is going up, so this is the future. I remember it was about deposits in the banking sector. It was, and because banks are the players in the stock markets, so you can do it from different brokerage companies. You can have your own personal broker who can invest your money, who can consult you. It's all over the place. The next sector is the insurance sector. I remember that in 1997 I met an Austrian investment insurance company, and I remember they gave me a homework which I'm going to give to you, and I need you to do your homework by the 11th of January, and those of you who do it successfully, you'll get a gift. So the next sector is real estate. You know, there are a lot of people that rent out property. They're called rentiers in Russian, I guess. It's a French term. And you know, the real estate price has been increasing all the time. So it seemed like the more real estate you have, the better pension or retirement you're going to have. And this is the mindset that's set in the world over the last 30 years. And I also dealt in real estate because since 2005 until 2015, and even today, for me, Donald Trump was like an example for developer. And I studied his biography a lot, and when I went bankrupt in 2008, you know what I told myself? I just lost 1 million, and I remember Donald Trump lost 1 billion. So I guess he had it more difficult, and since he managed to overcome that and became a billionaire again, so why shouldn't I put my best efforts in becoming a multimillionaire? And if we go and take a look at the investment world, I can say that I'm a billionaire because the assets of our fund at the moment, if if you go and see the market prices, and if you do the estimation of the entire value of our assets, it's more than $1 billion. So as far as, and I'm definitely a billionaire if we value it, if we estimate it in Russian rubles. So I remember then I started applying the 8 rules of a private investor and put it into practice after I went bankrupt. I restored my capital very soon, and the economy at the moment is has a lot of store in us in the next year, and a lot of people might be thrown overboard and will be deep in debts, and the knowledge of investing will help those people overcome a lot of financial difficulties and problems and the issues of, and will help them grow very fast. So the next item is investment funds and companies. I remember investing since 1993 and 1998, and I already told you that the reason I invested in those companies is to have shares in energy companies and other companies. In 1998, I received training in one of the investment companies in the area of investment portfolios, and we are going to discuss investment portfolios today. Next item is the financial sector and stock exchanges. I remember we were able to directly participate in the exchange, to play in the exchange. It was, I remember in the United States, you could use a terminal and buy shares in different companies. And finally, we had all this wow effect. Like finally, we can work directly instead of using investment companies. You can use broker services, and purchase your own financial tools in the stock exchange. And then Forex appeared, and since 2003 I studied Forex, and then crowdfunding and crowd investing came up, and since 2013, and then crowd investing 2004, and where people invested in silver, gold, and diamonds, and still continue doing so, and they use it as savings that later can be inherited by their children. So when we're going to discuss the 8 rules of a private investor, you'll see that if a person over the span of 40 years saved money to buy gold, you will see how much capital they would have by now. So the next item is the equity participation, venture markets, and startup markets. You can add crypto currency markets here as well. So investing, on the other hand, is the understanding how your money can grow from year to year with high capitalization aimed at capital gains. Profit and capital gains are different things. Let me give you a simple example. I remember I sold gasoline. I bought a gasoline truck, and then I delivered gasoline. Then I earned money, and I had 2 gasoline trucks in different locations. So we carried and sold gasoline. Then when I stopped doing this business, I opened a retail shop in one location, then another location. Then I opened a second shop, another shop. Then I owned a wholesale warehouse. But if we stop and think of what capital gains are, I remember we invested $700 each, my friend and I. And 2 years later, we had enough commodities. We had commodities worth more than $1 million. So the net profit was $200,000 each. So that was our profit, $200,000. So he bought himself an apartment, a car, and I also bought myself a car and an apartment. We went on a trip, etc. And at the same time, we had commodities worth 1 million. So the capital gains means how our $700 each grew into $1 million, and we had a net profit of $200,000. So if we take it all together, so our capital income, and I'll explain you what capital income is, was $1,400,000 over the span of 2 years. That's how it works in the stock exchange as well. So let's take a look at what investing is understand how your money can grow from year to year with a certain capitalization rate. It can be 12, 24, 36, 60, 96% per year. So if you invest $10,000 at 12% per year, it's 1% per month, then in 10 years, you'll have $33,000. At 24%, it will be 107,000. At 36%, it will be 347. 60%, it will be 3.5 million. And if you invest at 8% per month, then you'll have $100 million. So that's what we need to understand. When people ask me, and I'll show you the table, Andrey, show me a place where we can get 8% per month. When people ask those questions, that means that they do not have investing thinking. They think about only investments, but not investing, because investments is the investing of money to a financial investment instrument with a purpose of getting profit, while investing is the understanding how the money grows. That's when you're able to find those particular investment segments. And that's what we're teaching people to do. So let me show you how $1 can turn into $1 million. Lots of people say, I don't have money right now to invest, or I don't have money to invest in any project. I barely have money to cover my own living costs. So right now, put in the chat how much money you make per month. If it's not a secret, or really confidential confidential information, just write in the chat, either in dollars, on rubles, or any other currency, how much you make per month. Someone says 35 1,000 rubles, $100. I see 60, $1,000, $1,500, 200 euros, 45,000 rubles. And now, write if this money is enough for you. Yes, no, or enough, not enough. So I see that it's some people barely break even, others say it's not enough. So you can also, some people say that it's enough, but I would like more. Look, and one of the commandments of a private investor says, put aside 10% of all your income, sources of income. Because people tell me, Andrey, I barely make a living. How can I save money, or how can I put aside? So when you're going to fill in your table of expenditures and income, so can our technical support send me the this table so that people can download it? By the way, I guess we have somewhere this table in the public access. So most importantly, you need to start saving and allocating your money. So this is a simple example how what $1 can do if you start saving it. So for those so write in the chat if you're able to save $1 per day. If it's not going to be a huge problem for you, like that you're able to start putting aside $1 per month or 10% of your income. So it will be what? $30 per month, right? In 1 year, it will be 360. In 10 years, it will be 33,600. In 30 years, it will be 10,800. So that's the amount of money you can save. But if starting from the second month, you invest that money at 12% per year, in 30 years, your capital income, this is what we call capital income, is $105,000. And your investment contributions, not deductions, I'm sorry for this slide, it's your investment contributions. It's something that you contribute into investing, will be $10,800. And the capitalization, so this is the difference between the traditional meaning of the word capitalization in the finance world. It's usually it means the value of the company. In our academy, we have a different understanding of capitalization. And you understand why we call it like this. So there is such a notion as capital income, and capitalization is the difference between your capital income and your investment deductions or contributions. So in this case, it's 880%. So let's take a look at the table. There are 7 wonders of the world, and one of the financial experts said that there is an eighth wonder of the world, which is compound interest or interest on interest. And as soon as you're able to really realize and understand what's in the eighth wonder of the world is, which is compound interest, you always will be rich. And there are 2 rules you need to follow here. Is to first to develop the correct investment mindset and always keep remembering about the 8th wonder of the world. So that's the table that shows you how $1 can turn into $1 million. In 360 months, at 1% capital gain. No. It will be in 360 months, you'll have $100,000. So in 30 years, you'll have $104,000. If you start since month 2, investing at 12%. In 329 months, if you have the 24% per year, you'll get 329 months divided by 12 in 27 years at 2%. So it's 1% more. You'll get $1,011,000. Well, it's in dollar equivalent. That's what your capital gains can be, $1 million in 27 years. Then if we get a 3% capital gains per month, then in 329 months divided by 12, in 19 years and a half, you are going to have $1 million of capital gains, income. If you learn how to do 3% per month, then it's a totally different figure. In 153 months at 5% per month, at 5%, 3% per month, in 12 years, you're going to have $1 million. And at 8% per month, you will have a capital income of 1 million. In 8 years, you will have $1 million. in reply to the question, Andrey, where we can get the 8% per month. So let's see what's the capital gains, the average monthly and yearly capital gains. So if 43 years ago, when the company, well, in 1976, the company was founded, if Steve Jobs told you, like, give me as much money as you can or you want to, if he ran a crowdfunding fundraising campaign, then your $1 in 33 years would turn into $125 million. Another company, Google company. So they received $100,000 in 1997. Larry Page and Sergey Brin did it. And in 2019, the capitalization of the company was $980 billion. So $1 in 21 years would turn into $9,800,000. The next company, Facebook, in 2003, it's an internet company. Well, Apple is a hardware producing company. Google and Facebook are purely internet companies. And in 16 years, $1 turned into $21 million. And the last item here is cryptocurrency market. So in 2009, one Bitcoin, at $1 you could buy 1,300 Bitcoins. And then in 2019, one Bitcoin cost $7,000. So in 10 years, $1 turned into $9 million. So if you wanted to sell your Apple shares in half a year and 1 year later, and you know this story that Wozniak, Reiner, and Steve Jobs founded the company, then one of the founders said, give me my money back, and they gave him back $800, and then he got some more, 1,500, to never, for the obligations to never demand anything from the company. So his 30% today is the capitalization of the company is 1 trillion. So he could have had almost what, $300 billion. So if we take an 8% capital gains per month, so and see the speed, the pace with which Apple grew. It's $1 trillion in 2019. But I have this table already in place. So do your own math, okay? So just take 2 minutes, take your calculator and do the math. The capitalization of Apple is 1 trillion, the Google capitalization, and tell me the monthly capitalization of those companies, or capital gains of those companies, if you're able. You have all the data on this slide. Can you do that? Okay, while you're crunching the numbers, I'll tell you a few words about the Apple. I guess Google and Facebook is easier to calculate. So Apple, the all-time percentage capitalization was 12 million% on average. 12,824,900% capital gains in 43 years. If you split it by years, it will be 293,693,000. This is the capital gains per year percent. Let's see the capital gains per month. It's 24,667,000 54 per month, and per day it will be 855,586 per day. And we were discussing only 8% per month. Remember on the previous slide? Okay, can you see?
The reason you need to understand all these figures, dear friends, that's because sometimes we will discuss the mistakes while investing, and we will see that $1, they are not the only companies. You can find a lot of other companies and see how $1 grew. Why we calculate $1? $1 multiplied by 30 days and win a year, and there are a lot of multi-crowd investing companies through their platforms. I show you these figures to show that these are realistic figures. Those tables you see and the figures we have, there are such companies, and there are venture companies 5 years today in the transport niche. The capital growth is over 5% a day, although this company is venture. Our fund over these 5 years with the capital growth of 27% a day. Therefore, these figures, if a person understands how it does, not simply sees these figures. One of our key goals is to make you understand how it grow, because you may see, wow, $1 and I want 1 million, but some people miss that it grew up within dozens of years. Or Bitcoin, I would like to invest immediately and get 1 million immediately there by investing only $1. But in terms of Bitcoin, actually 1 year after it cost almost nothing, but you could not sell it. And only 2 years after, on exchanges, they started trading. For you to understand the process of Bitcoin, only 2 years after. Many people today would like to invest in ICO or some tokens or some other dimensions, and tomorrow immediately, or 3 days after, or 3 months after, or 6 months after, to get some huge amounts. No, dear friends, huge amounts will be obtained when you retain this capital. Then you will get this amount. Should someone sell Bitcoin in 2011 and in 2013, it cost about $200. I don't remember correctly. Actually, we need to validate, to double check the diagram. Let's move on, dear friends. Now I would like to tell you 8 rules of a private investor and why they were created. It was in 1993, 1995, when I realized what financial independence and financial freedom are. I told you that I invested from 1993 to 1997 to many companies, and they didn't train me, but I simply invested in those companies where I got this training. And then I realized that financial freedom is what money you have, the amount of money you have when you have no income. Why I realized this? Because at one of the meetings, for which I paid about $300, there were quite funny guys. They were called men in black, some black soldiers on the stage. We were locked in a room, who told us how to become a shareholder. But what I learned from them is very clear understanding what financial freedom is and what it gives to you when tomorrow you are unemployed, no matter the reason, but you have some assets which will generate some income. And I clearly understand then that in order to become a financially free person, you don't need a lot of money to make yourself. You need a lot of money in your assets. There is such a statement that the low and middle class of people make work for money, whereas the top class work for assets. And in 1997, actually, I got into one insurance company where they told me and taught me what capitalization is. We got the task to perform and they trained us to understand what capitalization is. And dear friends, I will give you this home task as well. I will ask you to calculate, to estimate. The task will be displayed a bit later, but you need by our next meeting, the 11th of January, the capitalization of your future financial plan. So first of all, we need to know what financial independence and financial freedom are. Everyone who are committed to my 8 rules of a private investor, if you didn't know them, please study them, because all the meetings will be start with my asking you, please give me the first rule, the 4th rule, and the second. Always remember 5 commandments of a private investor. The first commandment is always save 10% of all your incomes. Why I got this commandment? I read one book, the richest person in Babylon by Clayson, and these commandments were taken, some of them were taken from his book. By the way, please write down in the chat, if you save up 10% of all your incomes, please highlight it with the pluses. If you do, write down a plus in the chat. I learned that I need to save 10% in 1997, when we were estimating capitalization for another 30 years. On average, it would be 12% per annum or 24% per annum, 28% per annum. When I calculated this capitalization, it was like revelation to me. And then I was told that I needed to save 10% of all my incomes. Well, you see, it doesn't matter if your income is 10,000 rubles or 90,000 rubles. You saw that each person wrote different incomes, $1 or 5,000 US dollars. But in any way, we do not have enough money, then it means that you need to start saving 10%. Starting from today, please get an envelope, and on this envelope, write it down. This is my investment contribution, and start from even today. Put your wallet, calculate what you have inside, and save or deduct 10% of all this you have in your wallets. This will be your investment contributions. The second commandment, very important, start earning additional income if your income is not enough. If you are an entrepreneur, start developing your business even further to save in order to control your incomes and your proceeds and expenditures. It's very important. Should you control your proceeds and expenditures, you will also know how much you earn and how much you spend. But unfortunately, most people spend more than they earn. Today, you can get some loans. So we are actually trained to live in debt. The third commandment is protect your funding from losses. It's very important because you always need to know how to protect your funding from losses, and the money is to be protected. And one of the rules, 8 rules of a private investor. Another one is study to invest, to make investments, to understand how your money grow. And the 5th one, always learn to earn more. Unfortunately or fortunately, many people, a lot of companies, by the way, train how to earn more. There is such a statement, please write it down. In order to learn a person to earn more without training him to spend appropriately, this is a crime. And therefore, first of all, I would like to call upon all of you, please study 8 rules of a private investor, 5 commandments of a private investor, and the 5th one, always learn to earn more. And you will see which tangible results you have. The 3rd rule of a private investor is define your financial plan. A bit later, we will discuss it. I will show you the types of financial plans, which could be viewed as your retirement plan. The fourth rule is diversify your deductions. Never keep all your eggs in one basket. Therefore, there should be several baskets with 1, 2, 3 eggs in each. Diversify your capital. The fifth rule, keep your investment discipline, or have investment diligence. The sixth rule is greed and laziness lead to bankruptcy, because quite often when people face some troubles, their approach or their solution is to find some options to earn more. And sometimes I hear that, Andrey, I cannot pay for the courses provided by your academy. I will go and earn more. And this person would never come back to the academy. He used to be a volunteer promoting my courses. He was the agent. He earns some money. And this way, this person who actually took this gradualist approach could learn and become investor. And the sooner you become and learn how to invest, the sooner you become richer. And always learn to invest. And the eighth rule, always increase your capital in order to have more assets. These are 8 rules of a private investor. I outlined them very briefly, but I would like you to study them in detail for you to understand where to proceed. 8 rules of a private investor, no matter which result you have, either positive or negative balance of your account. 8 rules of this private investor will be very helpful. And in 2008, when I became bankrupt, and whereas in 2009, before I didn't know these rules, but later on I defined my financial plan for the next 5 years, and in 2008 I became bankrupt. I will explain you. Actually, this was a mistake made by me, and I hope that many people won't repeat this mistake, although many people tend to repeat mistakes made by others. There is such a phrase that we learn on our own mistakes. And this rule that greed and laziness lead to bankruptcy, and actually I invested into the real estate, which was growing, which was skyrocketing. And I bought some land plots. I wanted to operate in Forex market, earn 1, 2, 3, 5% a day, but on average 1% a day. But I bought the real estate, you do nothing, and there is 1.52% growth a day. And then there is a question, why do you need the stock market or Forex? And this is your greed. When you buy one plot, sell it, then you buy 2 or 3 and sell them. It's like the philosophy of Robert Kiyosaki. And you know what Robert Kiyosaki writes: in our post-Soviet countries, it won't be operational because we are dependent on exchange difference. And if there wasn't this exchange difference, I would never be bankrupt. Yes, my liabilities in dollar equivalent grew, but so actually they remain the same, but they grew in the national currency, and there was the compound interest involved. And because of a lot of investments in the real estate, and this real estate stopped growing, no growth was there, no gain was there. Some of the real estates were taken by the banks. I'm still in the court proceedings with them, but within 1 year, by following these 8 rules of a private investor, I managed to get the income, which was much higher compared to the year of 2008. So in 2008, my income per month was about from 25 to 50,000, whereas 1 year after, in 2009, December 2000, and some years after, in December 2012, I earned about 90,000. and then I earned over 1 million. So why I'm saying this is that I followed all these rules of a private investor, and they all helped me to make my new financial plan with new incomes. My incomes became larger, and I managed to to build a capital income within a short period of time. Therefore, dear friends, 8 rules of a private investor, if you study them in detail yourselves and share them with any person, ask them a question, do you have sufficient income? They will say no. Then can you give me 5 minutes, and I can tell you how to do it. And you will give them these 5 rules of a private investor as a gift. Simply tell them and share this, and then you may invite this person to the genius of finance to play this game with this person, and everything will be fine in this person's life. The next thing, dear friends, I would like to talk with you is financial plans for 4, 8, 12 years. One of the key goals is to create your own financial plan, and what actually helped me after the bankruptcy in 2008 is the creation of my financial plan. What helped me in any moment when every 5 years, so I sit down and make my financial plan for the next 5-year period, and with my team we actually created the financial plan until 2028 for our fund established, the crypto unit program we work with, to become the most popular and the most financially large topic for the next decade. For 2024, 2028, this is the financial plan of how we will reach the results. And actually, 1 week after, on the 28th, I will talk about the financial development of our fund for the next period up to 2015, about our strategic development goals. And it's very important to visualize your future. It's extremely important. Please write it down. From the 26th of December up to 30th of December, this is a very good time for getting rid of some negative commandments, some negative habits you have, those negative principles you still follow. And when this time comes, I simply write this down on a piece of paper and then burn this piece of paper, your habits or principles you would like to get rid of, and write down your plans, your principles for the next time. And now from the 26th of December to the 10th of January, this is the correct time for your getting rid of your old principles and making visualization of your future. So first of all, we need to understand why we need a financial plan. Maybe you would like to construct a house. Then you need to build a financial plan for the construction of your house. In 2017, I constructed my house on the coast of the Black Sea in the Crimea, a very good house. If I sell it, it would cost about $5 million US today, but I spent less than 1 million. And therefore, this financial plan for you to be built for you. So what pension is? When you have a lot of time, a lot of money, so this is a good pension or good retirement, when you have a lot of money, time, and you can spend it on everything you like. Your pension, it may not be age retirement, but you will be retired for 8 years after. But for this, you need to build a plan. Maybe 4 years after, you would like to get 1,000 USD continuously every month, and it will be only 50% of the income, of your monthly income, from the assets generates. And this is the reason you make this financial plan. Or you would like to create an asset where you will buy a new car, Ferrari, for example, from 100 to 200,000. This is your dream. And the second important thing, what financial plan you would like to create for another 4, 8, 12 years. What a financial plan is, it is your understanding where you will get your money from and what you will invest this. Maybe your newborn you have a newborn baby like me, and when he is 20 years of age, he would have some specific capital. This is the heritage you will provide to your children. The third thing is what amount you are planning to save and invest every month. Which part of your income, 10%, or 1 year after it would be 20%, 1 year after it would be 30%, or the first year it would be $100 or $200 or $500, and the capital gain, 5, 8, and 12. And in this case, 59 months after, divided by 12, 5 years actually, in 5 years time, you may have 1 million if your capital gain is 12% a day. So today you save $100, the second year 200, the third year 300, the fourth year, starting from the third year, 500 actually years. And if and in 80 months you see it, again, you will have 1 million with 8% a day. 80 months divided by 12, 6.5%, again, you will get 6.5 years, again, you will get this 1 million. So this is your financial plan you would like to create. Why? 4, 8, 12 years. Because before that, there was a 5-year period, but actually I insist on 4, 8, 12 because the figure 4, the digit 4 is very stable. 8, this is the eternity. 12 is a very good figure in the numerology. This figure goes and actually enables you both to train and earn. You may create a plan for 20 years, but you will do it. You will build your financial plan. We will simply give you the information how to do it. By the way, there is a good statement. A person may learn to do something if only he wants to do it. The fourth point, are you ready to increase the amount of investments every year? This year you may save $100, or this year 10% of your income, next year $200 or 20% of your income, then 2 years after or 3 years after it would be 20 or 30%. But dear friends, when you make your financial plan, please understand, even when you earn a lot of money, 20, 30,000 US dollars a month, and you would like to save 80% of this, no, it's not correct. 50% of your incomes is to be spent on yourselves, on your beloved, by buying some accommodation, cars, improving your standard of life. Your style of life should be improved. I will give you one story. Since 2002, yes, 2002, I learned from one guy, very interesting guy, by the way, in financing. And there we learned one family couple. They are network marketing leaders, and they were trained to operate on financial markets. And I also learned how to do it on the financial markets together with them. And we invested together. But then I learned that they invested, they didn't make their financial plan that by 2007, they should have 1 million. And in 2007, they had on the stock market of US, it was late 2007, 1 million. And actually they had financial plan before, and then after having this million, they would use it to live. And the tools, the instruments they invested into generated 1.5% a month. And from this million, they actually get quite a good earning, and sometimes they saved 80 or 90% of their average check. They lived in an old apartment. They didn't buy a vehicle within this time span. And when in 2007, late 2007, we met and we discussed this, it was late 2007. I wanted to have 1 million in my assets, but actually I had 2 million in my assets. It was also a good achievement. I boasted to them saying that everything is fine, you are fine, and we are fine. And they decided that for another 2 years, we would like to create the assets in order to get every month the average check earned in the company. But in 2008, there was a crisis.
And those guys couldn't cope with their emotions. They started withdrawing money in March 2008. They had around 1,300,000, and when they withdraw by the end of 2008 their money, they had left around $300,000. And I told them, like, guys, look, we have experience in investing. Let's share it with investing experience. Let's share it with other people. And they told me, you know, it's all nonsense and it's all scam and fraud. We don't want to do anything, have anything to do with investments, because we wanted to finally buy ourselves an apartment, a car. We, over the last 5 years, we only invested money and we're fed up with it. We want to have some physical cash. But if they haven't sold all those financial instruments, out of 100, only 10 of them were negative. But in 2012, the market restored, and they would have, out of those 1,300,000, they would have more than 2 million if they hadn't panicked and started withdrawing their money. So in 3 years, since 2008, 2010, and 11, in early 2012, the market almost restored back to its original state. And I told them, guys, it's your own fault. And they told me, what if it was even, what if it had become even worse? And I said, look, you should be able to cope with your emotions. Do not withdraw anything. If you had left at least half of that capital, you would have 1 million by now. So most importantly is 50% of the income that you earn should be spent on your own costs, and not more than 50% should be invested. Otherwise, you will have those examples, those situations that I told you about right now, because there are people who have worked and lived their entire life investing. So everything they earned, they invested, like 95%. So they became slaves of their own investment portfolio. Never do that. Never become slaves to your own investments. So 50% of your money, of your income, should be spent on yourselves, and up to 50% should be invested. But you should start with 10%. Like in year one, you invest 10% of your income, then you can raise the bar to 20%, then 30%, etc. But not more than 50%. And when you are ready to take all your monthly income, because, well, you need to understand whether you withdraw in 3 years, in 5 years, or when you achieve like $1,000 per month, then you can take part of your profits and reinvest. So let's say that in a year and a half, your monthly dividend income is 1,000, and you decided that in 3 years you're gonna withdraw that money and then reinvest it. That's what I mean by financial plans, and you should have several of them. That's what you need to do. And that's what you need to do until we meet the next time. And I would like to see the financial plans of those people who are going to attend us next time. So Ruslan Murtazim is the director for the promotion of Andrey Khovratov and the Academy of Private Investor brand. So he will post in the chat the email that you need to send your homework to, and those who excel in their homeworks will receive good prizes from us. Now let's talk about the common mistakes. So it seems like the figures look all right. We understand what investing is. We do get good results, but why people do not achieve the desired result? Well, first of all, one of the reasons is the lack of knowledge. Not only knowledge in investing, but also your presets. Because if you've set your mind to poverty, you're going to lose money. So you need to set your minds to riches and wealth. We have a very good course called the Remote Training of a Private Investor course. And there it is split into financial liquidation of illiteracy, then the primary school 3 grades, then the middle school and 4 classes and the grades, and then the high school, which is 2 grades. So after you take those courses, you'll get the correct investment mindset. So I remember that I trained in one investment company in Cyprus, and the director and the manager of that company delivered a lecture in investing. He told us, if a person did not develop the right investment mindset, it is pointless to invest money for that person. He's going to lose it. Let me give you a simple example. Igor Romanenko, our financial director, we had this course called Investing by Default. I don't remember the exact title, but there were situations when it was the machine-based investing. So different people used that tool with different results. Some people lost their money, and I wondered what was the problem. So I took a look at that investment machine, and one of the conditions requirements was to observe this discipline. And I remember there is this strict discipline rule. You should not have invested $1,000 right away. You should have invested $100 and then $200, and only in 10 months you should have invested $1,000. But that person, seeing good results in month 1, invested in the second month $1,000. And then the market started going down, and that person started opening positions without getting the necessary degree of reliability. While Andrey Romanenko made a profit with the same robots, other people lost their money using the same investment robots. So you should not only learn how to make money and invest, etc., but also you should learn how to develop the right presets in your own head, because people have a lot of different presets in their minds, and the results that you have today is the outcome of the presets of yesterday. So what you did and thought about yesterday, your today's life is the outcome of it. So if you're not satisfied with today's results, think about what you did yesterday, and then start changing your thoughts, your mindset today, your way of thinking today, and change the way you take actions, and start doing things that you haven't done before, and then your results will improve. So task 1 is to acquire knowledge. So what's unique about our academy? You can start training, and while training, you can start investing in other investment projects that we offer, and you can both train and invest. In all the courses in the academy and the educational informational programs offer bonuses to people, in the form of certain investment tools that can yield certain positive return in future, even monthly return. So the difference between the Academy of a Private Investor and other educational programs online is that you can train, and part of you can already participate in the global investment portfolio that we have in our crypto unit program, New Economic Evolution, the World program, and the Academy of a Private Investor. This is what sets us apart from other educational programs. But if I tell you simply invest money here, and then even if it is a promising project, and if all of a sudden it indeed yields you $1 million, because there are people who invested $100 in 1 Bitcoin there are people who mined, were miners. I remember living in Odessa. I was renting a house by the seaside, and there was this landlord. She told me, Andrei, you know about investing. I have people, my friends, who do some mining. I think it was what, 2012 or 13. And she told me, well, they mine, but they, earn like 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoins. And they've been mining for a year, and that Bitcoin does not cost $10,000 as they promised. And then the year 2016 came, and the Bitcoin started costing $10,000. So those guys who mined 1-2 Bitcoins in a month's time in 2013, they made, if you do the math, like what, $20,000-$30,000 in 1 month. So why I'm saying this is that the reason that the lack of knowledge is the main reason here. Even if you invest a lot of money, because of the lack of knowledge, you can lose it all. That's why you need always to have the appropriate knowledge. Then second mistake is not keeping or sticking to the 8 rules of a private investor. If you follow the 8 rules, you will never lose your money. I guarantee you. But it is not enough to know about them. You should keep them, observe, and follow those rules. Item 3 is the lack of proper investment thinking. I remember we had this 3-day training in Cyprus, and I had a headache. There were a lot of words told about the investment portfolio, diversification of risks, how you should allocate your risk, etc. And 3 days later, the lecturer told us, do you have the proper financial mindset? And we said, yes, we have it. And he said, well, that's strange, because I studied for 5 years, then I worked for 15 years in investment market, and I don't have it yet. And you have it after 3 days? So one of the tasks is to develop the proper investment thinking. We have a remote course in the academy, and when you take it in a matter of a couple of months, you'll have the proper investment thinking. It's when your capital is placed in such a way as you get 5 plus or 10% gain to your capital. It might not be 100%, but at least 5-10%. And if you have these capital gains, then you are moving in the right direction. And I had a situation when a guy told me, Andrei, I got 150% per year. And I told him, what about the second year? He said 300%. And in year 3, he got minus 200%. So, if you get 150% capital gains in year 1 and 200% in year 2, it doesn't mean that you'll have the same capital gains in the third year. So over the proper investment thinking means that you'll have stable gains over the span of 5 years. Mistake 5, no financial goals. You need to understand what you want, because this is a good time to lay the proper foundation. So, we have this thing called map of dreams or collage of dreams. So in starting on the 26th of December, you need to make a list of your goals for the 18-20 years. Try to dream big. Put on some relaxation music and start dreaming big. Who you want to become, how many millions you would like to have, what those millions will be spent on. Maybe you would do some charity work. Maybe you want to become to establish an investment fund, or you want to become a great broker or an investment or a lecturer, or just start farming. I don't know. So for the next 18 years, make your financial plans. So everything that you're gonna put down in that list, you'll get it. Mistake 5, no dreams. People don't know how to dream. They say, we need money to take care of the loans. Because I have a loan, I need to address it. And I tell you, no, that's not the way you're gonna get your money. You need to visualize your image, your dream. So your objective, your task is to visualize your image for the next 18-20 years, who you are and who you will be in 20 years. What are you doing? What kind of people surround you? How much money you have? and who you are with that money, because money ruin people. Because I know people who were decent people, but when they started making millions, you realize that those people degraded. So they started greeting people. They look down on you. But then when their money runs out, they become kind people again. They start greeting you and they want to talk to you. I knew such politicians too. When they have money, they have security and they have high fences. And then when they lost that money, they started, greeting you, talking to you, and become good neighbors, all in all. And I realized that governmental officials who rob their people is not to put them in jail, but to take from them everything that they stole and make them live an ordinary life, like the people that he stole money from. In China, they do capital punishment, yeah, for the governmental official who are convicted of corruption. And then other people. So I say that take their money away from them. And this is my task for you. Visualize yourselves in 20 years. What kind of money you're going to have? Is it going to be dirty or clean money? Mistake 6, high expectations in a short time frame where they want to make investments the main source of income. 95% of people who start dealing in the investment market, especially in the last 3 years when the ICO market and the cryptocurrency market expanded, a lot of people joined in crypto market, and their expectations were quite high from their investments. But not only cryptocurrency markets. When in 1990s I did some I was engaged in investing. People came to me and they said, I want to invest like $5,000-$10,000, and I want to have, like, in a year's times, to have $5,000 per month. And they were really upset about it. But then when the real estate market started growing, a lot of people joined in that market because they wanted to buy as many property as possible, as much real estate as possible, and we're expecting really high return on the investments. And I had a lot of such friends and partners who got in debt to buy real estate. And when the crisis hit, those people had their real estate taken away from them, and they were even more in debt than they were before. So when people have high expectations in a short term and want to make investments the main source of income, that's where the problem appears. In investment, you cannot have big money in short period of time. You can have high return over a long period of time, like Apple. The capitalization today is what, 1 billion, but it was achieved in 43 years. It doesn't mean that there was no dividend income. Apple pays dividend income every 3 months. Google, Facebook pays their dividends every 3 months. So one of the objectives of the crypto unit program that we created is to pay monthly dividends to our people so that people could earn every month. This is our plan. But you should not think that if you enter the investment market, that in 1 year time, you will receive as much as you invested originally per month. No, that's not how it works. It takes at least 2-3 years. Let me give you an example. When in 1990s, I remember I told you that my partner and I invested $700, and we reinvested the monies that we earned again into buying commodities, back into the business, it was food products. It was sugar, I think. We had lots of sugar back then. So in 2 years, we had $1 million of capital income and $200,000 of net income each. So we didn't do it in a short period of time. It was done over a certain period of time and the business development. So mistake 7 is purchase of investment instruments using loans. This is the biggest mistake you can make. So put it down. I will never purchase investment instruments using loan money. So imagine that if you say never, if they say never, usually you always break that promise. But instead, maybe say, I exclude the possibility of purchasing investment instruments using loans. So when the Bitcoin was increasing, the Bitcoin's price was increasing up to from 3 to 7,000. Then in 2016 up to 10,000. In 2017 it was $20,000. When Bitcoin cost $10,000-$15,000. I know that in the United States, in Europe, people took loans and gave their houses as collateral to buy Bitcoins. So this was like a huge mistake, purchasing investment instruments using loans. And mistake 8 is shifting responsibility to others. One of the objectives of the Academy and the mission why the Academy was created was that I realized that investment companies and brokers, of course, they want money from you. And that's why they tell you, bring us your money. We know how to manage it and we'll earn you millions. So when the crisis hits, everyone thinks of their own skin. And of course, they want to cheat people out of their money in those times. I remember there was an article written about Russia, but I think this article can be applied to the entire world. And it says that in 2020, there will be moments when the state and central banks will stimulate the Federal Reserve System will stimulate stock exchanges, stock markets. So a new bubble in 2020 will be created. So January will show us, and we will be aware of those situations, and those who will attend our webinars will be aware of that too. But one of the important things right now, so all the central banks and all the countries will try to create another bubble, and it will be increasing until the mid 2020. There will be a lot of IPOs. You see that capitalization of Apple is 1 billion right now. It's Google capitalization is almost 1 billion. Facebook capitalization has also approached 1 billion capitalization. Not billion, sorry, trillion. Yes, it's insane figure. So if you take a look at Apple and you see the real assets is 150 million, yet the capitalization is 1 trillion. This is sold and sold again. I mean, instruments sold and oversold and resold. You'll have like hundreds of years to have the payback on those on those assets. So their real assets do not reflect the value of the assets. Real assets do not reflect their actual capitalization. Is not equal to their capitalization. So major financial sharks at the moment will invest, will pump the market, and most interestingly, they will seduce people, lure people, and manipulate people into entering stock markets. And when they start entering stock markets, the markets will plummet. That's what happened in 1998, 2008, and people expected it to happen in 2018, but it will most probably happen in 2020 because we can see the signals right now, and there are a lot of expectations of that happening in 2020. So this is something we should be all mindful of. And when a person will lose all their money, when people will lose all their money, they will shift responsibility to their brokers. Because for me, when I went bankrupt, I also blamed the state, the brokerage company, and I realized that speculations can take place at the central governmental level as well. But you are the main person to blame if you lost your money. When I went bankrupt in 1998, it was my fault because I invested almost all of my money into real estate. Instead of diversifying risks, I put my eggs in one basket. So why we think that we should focus in 2020 on financial education? Because we need to spread that information across as many people as possible. We need people to understand the right algorithms of financial success, and we want them to avoid the mistakes that people will definitely make in 2020. And now the grounds is being prepared by the central financial system of the main financial players. So never shift blame to someone else, shift responsibility to someone else. Well, and as for the investment strategies, investment strategy I had when I started my investment business, I wanted to find one managing companies, investment companies, to entrust all my money to that company, and I wanted her to manage my money. I would earn money, I would save 10-20%, reinvest, and I want her to take care of it.
This is called the investment strategy, the passive management investment strategy. But unfortunately, I saw some investment companies, particularly in crisis time, they cannot administer and manage anything. Moreover, they steal everything from you. In 2008, I noticed this. Remember, simply imagine. Brokers, investment companies started and actually grew up, and those who were millionaires became billionaires. Those companies that were millionaires became billionaires on the financial market, but the people who invested their money through these companies lost their money. And a lot of people, almost 90% of millionaires of the stock market, early 2008 of the stock market, there were about 2-3 million people who became millionaires. They had over 1 million assets. And what happened when the crisis of 2008 struck, and there were 2-3 days in the US even that ATMs didn't give the money back. In 2011, there was a crisis in Greece where there was a plan of default when people came to ATMs and could not withdraw the money, or they may not use the bank cards in the shops. The fridges are empty because they entrust their money on the investment market to someone else. And then I said to myself, I will learn how to pursue the active management investment strategy. And then gradually I came to the idea that you may not encompass everything. In some segments, in terms of the diversification of risks or portfolio creation, you can follow the active management strategy, and sometimes the passive management strategy is to be applied. But there is one goal, that we need to train people who will use the investment strategy, mixed management investment strategies, both actively and passively, do something on their own and entrust to someone. But you must trust, however, you should not forget to control. So people should stick to mixed management investment strategies when they trust some brokers, some investment, some stock markets. There are different segments such as currency brokers, insurance sector, and in addition, on their own, they need to learn how to manage. This is one of the key goals. And now, dear friends, I'm taking and would like to show you what a portfolio is, investment portfolio is, and an interesting thing in the portfolio investment. Look, so here we have the following: the top 10 US companies, and let's assume that you had $1 million US or together with you, we would invest $1 million into the US market and would buy these 10 companies and do nothing, simply bought in 1998. There were some dividends paid, distributed among all the participants. Well, look at the situation. Then the capital income would be $62,649,010 US. The capitalization would be $61,649,010 US. Capital growth over 20 years is 6,164. Average yearly capital growth is 308%. Average monthly capital growth is 25.6, whereas average daily capital growth is 0.85%. So this is the top 10 of the US market. Amazon. So this is the data for 2018. If we calculate this for 2019, the figures will be higher. Then followed up by Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Google. By the way, Google is coming closer to 1 trillion. And the next thing, the top companies in the Russian stock market. The same million, should we have it in 1998, invested into the Russian stock market in 1998. The capital income is 211,172,256, including Nickel, Airfloat, Gazprom Oil, Nanotech, Tatneft, Transneft, and others. The capital growth over 20 years is 21,017%. Average yearly capital growth is 1,050%. Average monthly capital growth is 52.5%, whereas average daily capital growth is 1.75%. Now, let's have a look at the following. This is the Chinese stock market. Everyone says that the Chinese stock market is the coolest, it grows annually 10%. But dear friends, the financial market of China and its top 10 of companies, the capital income is 9,850,480,000. Capitalization is 4,450,000. 480 capital growth over 20 years. 885%, whereas the average daily capital growth is 0.12%. Although the Chinese market seems to be the best today, but we see, judging by the stock market development, that the largest capacity is enjoyed by the Russian stock market. And by the way, the US and the Chinese markets pay very little or limited dividends, and therefore the Russian stock market will be more like a bubble, because it would be pumped, because there are a lot of companies which are under-evaluated on the Russian stock market. And we would keenly follow this because we also invest there. And now let's have a look at the investment portfolio of the global stock market within the same period. Should we distribute it among all these markets, what would we get? Well, capital income 87 million, capitalization is 86 million roughly. The capital growth over 20 years is 8,654%. Average yearly capital growth is 432%. Average monthly capital growth is 36%. 36% a month, dear friends. And the growth and the procedure of making $1 into 1 million, so actually 8% is quite an appropriate percent. It's quite normal when you are on the investment market, when there is the balanced portfolio. But here, after this calculation, 1 million divided by all these instruments, and 1 million of instruments divided by 35 segments, on average 28 thousand US dollars invested on average into each segment or instrument, and the average daily capital growth is 1.2%. You see it. So, dear friends, I ask you, and in the Academy of Private Investor, we train you not only how to shape your appropriate financial mindset, but how to build your financial portfolio, investment portfolio. And later on, one of the goals, you know, I remember when I learned how to do my portfolio investment, all the people were representatives of legal entities and only two physicians. And actually I was asked, which company you represent? I said, no, it was in 2004 and I was not representing everyone. I was asked, why do you do this? Please bring your money to us and we will make you wealthy. No, I want to be trained. I want to create my own investment company for my family. This is my goal. And actually I call upon you, we should create you should create your own investment portfolio for your family, for you to be able to manage your assets, your investments, and have an investment portfolio of your family, no matter which last name you have. For example, the Smith family investment portfolio or Sokolov family investment portfolio. For your family, you must do it. It is one of the key goals pursued by the Academy of Private Investor and myself, for these millionaires to be advanced, new types of millionaires. Yes, we create our own investment, our own instruments in different areas for a person after the training to get these investments on his hands. So you get trained, earn, make earning, multiply and preserve and multiply. Dear friends, but it's important for us that you must learn how to do it on your own. Why it is so important? Today we hear about new. I would like to tell you very briefly what new is, new economic evolution of the world, part 1. And I will show and give you some short videos. Well, today, the global economy and the entire world is at a loss. They don't know what to do. They pump the stock markets, lose the money. Then there are crises followed by the wars and so on and so forth. And why in the Association Generals for Peace, I joined this, and since last year I supported them, because this program, New Economic Evolution of the World, could prosper when people are financially literate, because today the knowledge in financing, in the strategic innovative business, this knowledge is much better compared to any weapons. Why? Because when a person is equipped with this knowledge and he loses his money, sometime after he can bring this money back and even more than that. And you see Nikola Tesla, early last century, and JP Morgan. So at that time, he supported a lot the personality as Edison. Edison employed Nikola Tesla, and Nikola Tesla is well known that he created free energy. And since Edison worked for money of JP Morgan, and JP Morgan owned almost the metallurgy sector, the copper and copper wires, because the electricity started to grow, and Tesla once of a sudden proposed a technology of free energy. And what happened after this? So there is a large investor and capitalist, and there is one who has an idea. He comes to the capitalist and says, I have this idea. And if it is following the principles of the capitalist, then he actually supports this, or either he buys all the patents from Tesla, not from the Tesla, but from the one who funded Tesla, and Tesla disappeared. No one knows what happened to Tesla. Maybe he died, or he was assassinated, he was murdered or disappeared, but this person was known to bring a technology of free, almost free energy. And imagine when we put a bulb and there is a small power station, we put a bulb and no wires, no problems. Energy is free actually. And what happened in the 20th century? A lot of developments and large capitalists didn't give them to grow and develop. What happens? A large investor gives money to the technology developer. The technology belongs to this large investor. Large investor brings this technology to the market. And who needs the energy? Actually, the energy is demanded by all the people. If you follow the history of Edison and JP Morgan, and consumers consume, and these large capitalists become richer, the developer may have something as a return, but generally their technologies were bought for almost nothing or put onto the shelf. The consumers pay money, and who becomes richer? A large investor gets richer and wealthier. And how can we change this? Let's have a look. But if the technology developer or any economic model of consumption of funding appeals upon people through funding, and people fund this technology or economic model, and they implement the project, and they are at the same time the users of this technology, they consume this technology or the products of this project, the products and services, and earn more. I will give you an example. Let's assume that on the planet, all the humankind become the owners of at least 50% of all the energy companies operating on the world, specializing in oil, natural gas, energy. Simply imagine, over the last 50 years, you know how the price of oil grew, but the cost, everyone knows that the prime cost is about $8, whereas the price in the global market is from 60 to 100 US. And when the oil prices grow, who suffers? People, because any product actually include oil products, and it increase the price of transportation of the services, and we as final users, consumers, pay for this. And not all the people, but let's assume that 35% of the people of the global population are core investors of all the energy companies in the world. And all the countries say, we would like to increase the oil price. They can do it. We will earn more on this. Another example, simple example. Let's assume that in your region, in your town, there is a supermarket, new supermarket open, and it addresses the people living in this district and saying, guys, I'm ready to share 50 to 50, fund the construction of another supermarket in your town, and everything we will have there, so your share of the profit will be 50%. What do you think? These persons that are co-owners of this supermarket or this entertainment center, will they find it beneficial to buy their products from the supermarket they construct? Quite probably yes, because they will get dividends as well. And we actually invested into the development of sushi master restaurants, and a lot of people globally eat and consume sushis. 2 or 3 times a month I eat sushi. Now I will order my sushi from Sushi Master. I will eat them, and the only thing, some people may complain that the quality of sushis may be poor. You need to call the support center to the quality control or quality assurance unit of the restaurant, and immediately inform us, and we will penalize them for bad sushi they make. Look, I like sushi, I eat in the restaurant I invested in, and it affects my profit. This way, I can stimulate the development of any company, like the economy at large. Imagine today, the many states borrow from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, 2 billion or 1 billion. Let's take an example of any country. When I prepared a program, I worked with those who constructed the MacDuck in 1994 and then shared my new concept of new, and they told me that I'm crazy because you want all the people to know the model of governance. But my question to say, the government needs $1 billion and the population of this state is 20 million, out of which 50% is working age population. 1 billion divided by 10 million people, it means that each is to provide only $1 to stimulate their own economy and be independent of any bank. But there should be some tough conditions. The government acts as a corporation, and that then each member of this corporation, each shareholder of this corporation should get some profits, some dividends, and control this model. It's much better than the system which is this drawing. There are two ways of funding the economy: borrow from the market, from the bank, some cartels, and be in debt. And the second channel is crowd investing and give people a chance to co-invest. And what new economic evolution of the world is? This is the association of consumers that develop their know-hows and they can benefit from making their investments. And the financial policy inside this consumer association and the development of the town, of the city, of the country, of the planet at large. And what new is? So the first one is fair redistribution of world capital, knowledge and enlightenment in all spheres of life. Become the master of your destiny and understanding the law of wealth. The second pillar is priority. It will bring more benefits to people. What we do, the more benefits we have, the more benefits the person would get. The technology, the consumer association technologies. So for this, we need to promote proactive mindsets and understand how it operates. We shall not only entrust the media, which today are corrupted. Most of them are corrupted by the financial operators, and they promote the information policy which someone needs. You need to understand the information flows, learn to understand information flows. You understand what and where happens. You don't need to watch TV, and most important, you need to love your planet. So this is consumer union and technologies, which means progress and creation. And now we will play a video about crypto unit, and you, Nikolai, can you please play this video for everyone to understand by means of which and how new economic evolution of the world program and crypto unit program could be implemented. IMF forecasts inflation rate of up to 10 million. And after this strike, there is the colored revolution. We need to assess the there is a vacuum of power of authorities. The democracy won't be restored. These are the this is the news from the capital of France. So these are those distortions next to which any economic crisis would be like a chicken
В стране образовался вакуум власти. Хулиганы шли мусорные баки, громили городское имущество. Пока демократия не будет восстановлена.
You may read the subtitles.
Французской столице.
The modern world economic system can lead humanity to shocks of unprecedented scale, next to which any economic crisis may seem like child's play. There are very good reasons for this. The mechanisms for the growth of the world economy is first of all the expansion of markets and the increase in consumption. But is there any space for expansion today? Of course not. Today, the market has become global. The whole territory of the world has been mastered. It can be noted that no matter what country you come to, you meet the same brands, products, and chain stores everywhere. This is one of the signs of the expansion of the world markets. The fact that there is simply nowhere to expand further was one of the reasons for the global crisis of 2008. Increased consumption. Consumption is stimulated by lendings. At first, after receiving a loan, the purchasing power increases, but then it decreases markedly as the person works to not only repay the debt, but to also repay the interest on it. This problem is solved, if it is possible to say so, by various programs of refinancing, new offers from banks and advertising from banking products. The illusion of cheap loans is created. Thus, people are hooked on a credit needle. For example, in Switzerland, the average debt for each resident on loans to banks is about $145,000. In the USA, it is $55,000. Canadians have accumulated the largest debts. Collectively, the inhabitants of the country owed on average more than $1 trillion in loans. Credit debt of the population in the world has reached a real historical maximum. This has led mankind to a vicious circle. Banks are forced to issue loans to maintain demand, but debt growth in the long run leads to a decrease in demand and consequently to a slowdown in a world economic growth, a decrease in production. As a result, fewer and fewer people in the world will be able to repay the debts on loans. Another significant problem of the world economy is the gap between the rich and the poor, which is growing rapidly every year. Today, 82% of the world's wealth belongs to 1% of the world's population. This doesn't show the flourishing of the world economy. On the contrary, it shows the collapse of the economic order. Production processes are automated and robotized. Human labor is less and less in demand. As a result, more people stay without work. This raises the threat of global instability and civil wars. Are there any real solutions to these problems? In recent years, we often hear about the new economic evolution of the world, or NEW for short. NEW invites the person to participate in the activities of the companies which services he uses. It gives people the opportunity to be co-owners of the companies and thus participate in the management and monitoring that will prevent the waste of public money. The co-investors with the right to receive profits and dividends. The consumers with the opportunity to increase their income by consuming the product, attracting other consumers, and the businessmen by attracting new investors through multi-level crowd investing. What has already been done today? On the 30th of March 2019, thanks to the multi-level crowd investing, the program Crypto Unit started. Its immediate result exceeded all expectations. For the first 3 days, the first stage of the 8 scheduled was fully implemented, which was expected to be a month. Thus, 12,000 users were members of a program. From the period of 30th of March till the 30th of September 2019 was created the sales volume of more than $107 million. The program allows people to become, regardless of their income level, co-owners, partners, real estate investors, and shareholders of a global investment portfolio that works in all segments and sectors of the investment market, namely education, the development sector, multi-level crowd investing sector, the sector of equity partnership in businesses through co-sharing, the development sector of health and longevity, the sector of innovative transport development, the banking sector, stock markets, forex markets, cryptocurrency markets, insurance sector, real estate sector, the sector of innovation development, the sector of development in agriculture and farming, the business sector, cooperative and social development, science sector, the cultural sector, the sector of precious metals and semi-precious metals, the sector of precious and semi-precious stones, the sector of space development, non-rocket space program, the sector of charity. We have already created an investment portfolio that is worth more than $12 million. The capital gains for the 52 months are averaged at 26% a day. This investment portfolio can include all participants of the Crypto Unit program. The funds received will be reinvested in a further expansion of the investment portfolio, thereby increasing the amount of assets and accordingly revenues. All holders of Crypto Unit digital assets are included in the portfolio in different shares depending on their amount of deposits. Based on historical data in the investment market sectors, many companies have the following returns. Let's suppose the company invests in the education sector, which should give us more than 30% a year. In the venture capital market, which is able to give more than 80 to 500% a year. In the banking and financial sector, which can give us more than 20% per year on currency exchange and brokerage operations. The stock, currency and crypto markets can give us more than 50% a year. The real estate sector will give us from 10 to 20% per year. Innovative development gives us more than 20% per year. Equity participation in various sectors of the economy and businesses gives us an income of 20% a year. Culture can provide us with a yield of more than 20% a year. Investments in the development and extraction of precious and semi-precious metals and stones, more than 25% a year. The sector of multi-level crowd investing, more than 100% per year. Investments in innovative transport technologies will be able to give more than 50 to 500% a year. The agriculture and farming sector can yield more than 30% a year. Having analysed the practice of the company operating in the sectors of the investment market, we can assume that the return on such a portfolio is 30 to 230% per year, and in some cases it is possible to get more. Guaranteed payment of dividend income on this amount from 8 to 35% of the profits of these assets. Let's suppose our assets already amount to 100 million. The average return on a portfolio will be 80% per year, that is 80 million per year. An average of 20% will go to pay dividend income, which is 16 million. The remaining 64 million is reinvested for expansion of the business and buying new assets. Expanding annually, the assets of such a portfolio are capable to grow exponentially, giving a huge capital increase according to the balanced strategy of the program of crypto unit. Thus, thanks to multi-level crowd investing, we are able to unite more than 35% of the world's population, acquiring more and more assets in all sectors of the investment market in different economic systems of the world community. What does this mean for a usual person in different countries of the world? This means that there is a real chance to enter with very little capital into a large investment portfolio and get all that this portfolio receives, creating a global investment portfolio which gives people the best and never before existing opportunities in investment directions. Thanks to this, we will be able to come collectively to the qualitative progressive development of the society on the planet, build new ecological cities, live in harmony with nature, helping it to be constantly updated. This will give us the opportunity to develop a completely new way of evolution. Such an opportunity happens once in a lifetime for all people on the planet.
Людям, которые вас пригласили, они обязательно вам расскажут об этой программе. Если вы подписчик Академии, то вы получите информацию и ссылку для подробного изучения об этой программе. Ну и так, дорогие друзья, гений финансов.
So, dear friends, I already told you that together with Antonina and Igor, we created a unique game-based training where in a matter of couple of hours, you can relive your entire life. In 4 or 5 hours, you'll see all your previous mistakes and you will finally realize what assets and liabilities are. We keep our balance sheet there, and you can see the business and investment opportunities. There are some unpleasant situations such as your business when people come and take your business from you, raider attacks, etc. So it has all the real life situations in it, and the purpose behind that game is for people to learn how to manage their assets and income and to build up capitals. When I saw people with small income who were made like $1,000, $2,000 per month, and they from the small cycle they eventually went to the bigger cycle in the game, and they started making like hundreds of $1,000s per month, and you realize the transformation of a person right there. Remember I told you about people's brain turning into a jelly, and I saw people going tilt, and on the other hand, other people started interacting better with other players. So this game-based training is a tool for you to progress as a personality. and that's why I recommend those trainings to everyone who hasn't attended them yet. And those who attended them, I recommend that you make it a rule to at least once a week or 2 times a week to attend those games. If you're the game master, I recommend that you become the player yourself and ask someone else to be the game master, because I realized that I saw it when I started acting as a player myself, playing as a player instead of being a game master, and I saw things that I would never have seen if I continued being the game master. So you saw I think most of you already saw the video, but I would like the technical support to put up the Genius of Finance video up again, if for those who joined us later. Guys, do you have it in English, the video? Could you write it in the chat, please? Well, thank you very much. Now I would like to make an announcement on behalf of the Academy of Private Investor. Starting next year, we will have 26 open webinars on Saturdays 2-3 times a month from the 11th of January to the 10th of October. So both through webinars and live meetings, we are going to visit all corners of the world where we have our partners in order to be able to participate personally in the training of our investment consultants. And one of the ways to do it is to conduct webinars, open trainings, schools, classes. I'm going to hold once a week open webinars in Moscow, open meetings. We're going to have a Q&A section there as well. So if you're in Moscow when I'm there, please attend those events. We have limited seats there, so sign up your names in advance. Then we're going to have paid courses for private investors, both online and offline. We'll have a course on fundamentals of investing. So it will cost up to $5,000, I think, but this is an entire program we're talking about here. So we'll have the fundamentals of investing, then we'll have the primary and secondary schools for private investors, and high school for private investor. Then we'll also have the basics of eight basic training of a private investor, then the investment advisor courses. And only after you take all the previous courses, you will be able to take the investment consultant courses. Then you can take the investment manager courses. So we have investments made into different projects, and in those companies where we are co-owners or equity holders, we'll prepare our investment consultants who will take care of the balance and the reporting side of the company, their financial statements, to see whether there is sense in investing in those companies or not. Then we'll have the Academy of Private Investors. The Academy has a lot of different courses, optional courses for stock exchange, cryptocurrency exchanges and market. We're working with a lot of different experts who will cover and share their skills as experts in different areas. Today it's blockchain technologies, both through open webinars and we have experts and specialists who will prepare and conduct those courses for you. Then we'll have multi-level marketing courses too. You'll be able to earn money through them, through multi-level marketing. And fourth is the leadership and oratory classes, because one thing is to be investment consultant, but then you can become also a genius of finance game masters. We now have an elite or deluxe version of the game, which costs almost 2,000 units or dollars, and you can buy it and become money as a coach as well, earn money as a coach as well. But we would like also to offer next year a box version of the same game and to use franchise as a tool to cover, to enter different markets. So our goal will be to ensure that every family, at least once per month, get down together and play the Genius of Finance game, as they usually do when they get together to have a barbecue, or they play bingo, or they play cards, poker, bridge, whatever. And one of my wishes and the wishes of my team is to have those families to get down together, and instead of playing poker, they would play Genius of Finance with their family and friends. I remember when I lived in Kiev, I played Cash Flow, the box version of it. It cost $150. We had this leather field, and every week my friends and I, that's how I involved my friends into my business, because they were not part of the network yet. So I invited them on Friday night for barbecue. It was in summer. Then we had some beer along with the barbecue, and we played the Genius of Finance until the morning. So I monetized the game. We just did not simply play it. So when the franchise is ready, we'll present it. And those of you who would like to work in this area under the franchise, it will be an additional source of income for you. But to be the game master of the Genius of Finance, a certified game master of the Genius of Finance, you will be able to make profit in the range of $3,000 to $10,000 per month, only by being a coach, a game master of the Genius of Finance. So next year will be very good for financial and investment education and training. And if you are willing to do it, we'll be waiting for you in our ranks. And if you want to become a multidisciplinary investment professional investor, a multidisciplinary investment consultant, you should attend those webinars, and you can rewatch those webinars. The recording of this webinar will be online until the end of the year, this year. So those webinars, open webinars, will be free of charge, but they will be free for 2 weeks tops. And then they will be packaged into an educational investment package, and will be offered for a fee. So those of you who got the chance of watching it for free, good job. But then it will be a product which can be purchased only for money. So we'll have it for the Russian-speaking audience, English, Italian, Spanish-speaking audience. We're gonna have courses translated into those languages. At first, they will be free, and then they will become a purchasable product. And naturally, part of the fee for the product will be invested in our global investment portfolio. In conclusion, what I wanted to say that one of the main tasks of the Academy and my personal mission is to create rich people, and not simply financially rich, but spiritually rich as well. When the 20th century, they used to call it Homo sapiens. Now we should become Homo spiritus, like spiritual human beings. People on planet Earth should realize that wealth is not only about money. Wealth is also about knowledge and skills. that can be translated into specific results, targets. And then those results can be either monetary or not monetary. It can be poverty, but it can be absence of poverty as well, because some people that are rich, and then you take their money away from them, and they become poor. And there are people who continue being rich even without money because they are rich inside. And sooner or later, they will have that money back. So if you're a spiritually rich person, and if you give that person money and that person doesn't take that money, he will still remain to be a spiritually rich people. So I would like you to continue and start educating yourselves in the next year and learn how to manage money and how to make money work for you. I want money to become your friends and work for you. So this is one of our main objectives. Now I would like to invite all of you to meet again in 1 week, especially those who don't know what crypto unit is, what new economic evolution of the world is. We're going to have a reporting webinar over on the last 5 years of our operations as a company. And on the 28th of December at 12 at midday Moscow time, you can attend our webinar. We'll have a lot of surprises in store for you. We have a lot of news in store for you. We would like to accelerate compared to the 2019, at least by a factor of 100. That's our acceleration is going to be like. And one of our main tasks in 2020 is to be educated and to be hyper accelerated and to be a leader in the area that you work in. So those who did not yet hear about crypto unit program and new economic evolution of the world, please join us on the 28th of December at the reporting webinar, which will be attended by the members of our presidential council, and we will make plans for the next 18-20 years. I'm going to show you the strategical development plan until 2050, how we're going to get there and what kind of results we can get under what conditions. Now I'm ready to take your questions if you have them. I can answer. So I have a question: how crypto unit will have a return on investment of 1-2% from the global investment portfolio instead of waiting for $3 or $5 per unit as announced in October? Well, please, could you make your question more specific, because no one said that crypto unit would cost $3-5 in October. If you have some video proof of it or audio proof, if I or someone from our top leaders said it, we'll look into it. But I don't think anyone said that crypto unit would cost $3-5 in October. I don't think that question is quite correct. As for the 1.5% dividend income on crypto units, attend the webinar on the 28th of December. You'll see how the price on our crypto unit is going to be formed from 15 cents up to $1 by the end of the year. So I'll show you what was the component of the pricing. But the $3-5 that you are writing here, I don't think anyone said anything about it. And if you really did hear or watch it, please provide me with some video or audio proof. So on the 26th, we'll have the opening of the big Sushi Master restaurant. We bought 100% franchise in Belarus. It will be a company owned by us. So at which stage the blockchain is, the development of the blockchain is? Well, on Monday, we're going to have a presentation on blockchain to our leadership and presidential council. We found people who are preparing very interesting documents for us, and they're doing it at such a high pace, and they are already ready to sign the contracts with those deadlines, and they said that if they do not meet the deadlines, they are ready to pay the penalty. So we are moving in that direction. We are developing our own blockchain, and as I mentioned before, we would like to have our own blockchain and our own token. We do not want to have Bitcoin or Ethereum as the basis. We would like to have our own blockchain, because in the 3-6 months, we would like to have on board in our system as many entrepreneurs as possible, both in the area of production, sales of services and commodities, together with our Shecard partner. But also, we would like to have it all through our blockchain and cryptocurrency. So on Monday, we're going to have a meeting with the Presidential and Leadership Council. We'll have a report, and then we'll have to decide whether we need to pursue that direction or not. But most probably we shall. When we'll have the first dividend income, dividend payments for CRU, crew? Well, first of all, we have such a thing called unconditional basic bonus, called Profi bonus, and it has been paid since October. Guys, I don't think Andrey is reading the English chat. I don't know how to pass it on to the Russian chat. So you said that you're gonna have, you're gonna go to the stock exchange on the 30th of March, 2020. We have signed an agreement with a very good legal company, legal firm, an international firm that operating in the United States, and we are doing the internal audit of all our assets, and for us to have the external evaluation of all our assets. And by the anniversary of our crypto unit program in March 2020, we plan to enter the market. And those of you who read the declaration, the roadmap, we're going to have the time span for us to enter the market starts on January the 1st until the October. But we have those guys who are able to develop and have everything in place for us much sooner. So why can't we, someone asks, why can't we buy the already ready blockchain? And there was one person who said, I sent you the proposal, and Andrey says, where did you send it to? Because I haven't received anything. That's what we're doing. We're working with those developers who will adjust and tailor make the blockchain to our own needs, with the issue of our own tokens and cryptocurrency. So if you have a feasible proposal, please send it to our email. Maybe you're talking about the same team as we have. So when can we read the white paper? Those guys that I was talking about, they are in charge of developing the white paper. When we get the entire schedule, what can be delivered when, then we will announce it to you right away, and you'll see both the date for entering the market, being our currency being listed in the market. We'll show the white paper, the roadmap, everything will be in place. We'll show you what instruments we're going to use for mining, because mining should be a must, because without mining we have no central, we'll have no decentralization, because we need our blockchain and our crypto unit to be decentralized. So the mining as it exists now in Bitcoin and Ethereum does not fit our goals. It's going to take too much. The speed of transactions will be handicapped. That's why we will have either electronic crypto unit until we have the blockchain. But I guess everything will be clear on Monday when we present it to put it up for presidential and leadership council voting. They'll have to decide what we're going to do. When will be the English localized version ready of the Game Genius of Finance? Actually, we have it in English. I know that games are held in England, in London. And another question, can we add payer wallet? I think those questions should be addressed to the support service or the financial department. I think we had the payer related project. But why do you need payer when you can withdraw your bonuses onto your regular bank cards in any currency, dollar, euros, rubles, Ukrainian hryvnias, Kazakh tenge? One person asks, my son is about to graduate from school. What kind of trades, professions he needs to go for the new economic of the world? Well, as I told you, we're going to need multi-level business managers, because even in the Western world, the multi-level business has been in existence since 1980s, but the profession of a multi-level business manager is still absent. It is still, many universities offer the course on professional consulting, and one of our goals is to combine the investment consultant and multi-level business manager into one profession, and it will be a multi-level crowd investing manager, because those are the professions, the occupations that in the next 20-30 years will be quite in demand. Of course, a lot of professions will be in demand related to the crypto economy. You might have seen the latest news in the United States. They now have crypto tokens that can be used as utility tokens, like a digital share. It has been it is being elaborated at the moment in England, in Europe. They going to permit the use of cryptocurrency, and our financial directors are going to sign the relevant documents. They are going to go through the controls, and we'll have people who were trained in crypto and blockchain technologies, because this is going to be a regulated domain. Well, it testifies to the fact that the entire world is moving towards crypto economy, and it's just a matter of time, I think 5 years tops, when we will totally abandon fiat money. But this is quite some thin ice that we're treading on. It might be something that the current banking sector won't go into like a lot, because all those controls and transaction fees are their main source of income, and banks at the moment do not resemble a financial institute anymore that should deal with money, but they are more like a punitive authority, or like tax collectors, or more like inquisitors at the service of the financial emperors. And when the entire economy moves into a digital economy, and fiat money will be given up already at all altogether, they lose control of the process. That's why we are aiming for very high speeds in the New Economic Evolution of the World program. And my goal is to get a lot of different entrepreneurs across the entire world on board next year, because if those processes do happen in 3-5 years, imagine that how you can control a person if you do not control their cash flow. I'm talking about banks here. So I think that it should be managed and controlled, but not in the way the banks are doing it right now. So the world has come to the notion of collective economy. That's why we have crowd sales, crowd funding, crowd investing. It's all about crowds, people.
Everywhere where people have. Moreover, the more we talk to blockchain specialists, when you ask them a question, why you did this blockchain, what are your goals for the next 20 or 30 years, I got very surprised. An investor comes, we have an investor, and we ask them to give a plan for the next 20 years. They're surprised. Which tentative plan for 20 years? But crypto experts, particularly those related to blockchain, they have plans for 50, 100 years. They are young guys. There are secrets of crypto economy, and there is no secret. The education is not present. There are no specialists. I think starting from next year, they will develop it gradually. But the main idea of making blockchain is for the fair distribution of resources and assets and capital. These specialists who today do and involve this, actually, I believe they make a great contribution to the future development of our civilization and the humankind. And one of the key goals, as I see it, yes, we are asked some questions when we will enter the market. We will do it following our plan. Actually, we planned to find blockchain specialists in December with whom we will cooperate. We performed our plan, we found them, and now we wait for them to make their proposals. All the proposals received by us before, guys, it was quite funny because they are funny blockchain solutions. There are serious people and we are running a serious business. When I received a proposal, some proposals, you look at them, it's not about blockchain, it's funny. So some segments, yes, for some segments it could apply, but for our global scope, no, it won't apply. We need global thinkers like we are, and those who create global blockchain, but not in some fields level. Well, you got it. Yes, we are moving to crypto economy. You need to learn more, and next year there will be a lot of trainings on crypto economy and market, and it's important for you, dear friends, to learn and get trained, because you cannot lag behind others. And one of the problems, quite recently I shared a video among the chats, and we will disseminate it among all the subscribers of the academy. You know, the view of one of the specialists or the owner of one resource on work and recruitment, the database on the applicants who would like to get employment and those who employ them. Actually, he says scary things. In the next 3-4 years, there would be an army of drivers without work and an army of accountants without work left, and an army of programmers would be without job, because no one needs conventional programmers, because there is the demand for blockchain programmers. So the entire armies of people in different sectors would be unemployed, and only you can help them to survive, because first of all, it can train them how to administer and manage the finance. Secondly, how to make your earning or set up your own business. Thirdly, how to manage these finance flows, tokens, and fourthly, how to affect and influence in order to get larger profits. And this is included into our development plans. Well, Evgeny, I'm answering your question. There would be 2-3 exchanges, then some other exchanges would join, but our ultimate goal is to have our own exchange. Binance, if your question is about Binance, we would do it about 6 months after we enter the market. All the, well, look, Advocash connection, well, please contact the support group or the financial department. They will take your inputs into account. Well, Financial GDI, can you please send it personally to me, because you are in the chat? Send it personally to me through the Google form. Ask a question, ask the DG. Can you send it to me personally, directly? The bonus loyalty to be distributed to new partners join in January 2020. Yes, bonus loyalty under the declaration is valid until 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Therefore, it would apply to everyone. The only thing, we will decide it with the leadership council, that for the second wave of people, the bonus loyalty will be divided proportionally. Those that are in the first wave, the bonus loyalty will be higher compared to the second wave of people. Why the withdrawal of the bonus to the cards? Well, dear friends, when I receive the complaints that they cannot be withdrawn to the cards, I personally tried 4 bank cards, 4 cards, and also asked the partners to withdraw the money, and actually everyone managed to do it. I don't know the reason why it happened. We tried it in Russia, in Europe, using their cards, and it was quite a success. Maybe it's not possible to withdraw it to your card, some special card you may have, but try someone else's card. So the proposals on health and wellness, will you develop it? Yes, as we actually can do it. One of the goals of developing health and wellness, when we have 1 million of active users, when we can create a questionnaire and survey the people whether we can do it, and order it through the crowdfunding, when a person in advance buys something twofold cheaper by paying now and here, and 6 months after, 1 year after, he can get these products. But it is possible when we have only 1 million of active users. But today we have about 900,000 of active users, not active, but users. So it's useless actually to do this. We need to get some profits. So then each person would buy at least 2 items of products. If the profit is $1, it would be 2 million US dollars as profits monthly. Then it's makes sense. But to do something that 20, 30 or 40,000 profit a year, but you bring these goods, so it is not cost efficient. It will be cost efficient as soon as we have 1 million of active users. And we plan to have this figure by mid next year. To get this figure, we need from 5 to 8 million up to 10 million of registered users. Then we will have this number of 1 million of active users. Well, look, now let's discuss your homework, dear friends. Your homework will be the following. Ruslan, once again, will post an email address, and you have to make your financial plan for 4, 8, and 12 years, then learn by heart 8 rules of a private investor and explain how you understand these rules. And the next item in your homework is, in your financial plan, please identify or determine how you will increase your investment contributions and in which time span, either 4, 8, or 12 months, you can retire. So which activities you see you need to take to retire in 4, 8, or 12 years. A question: when are we going to enter highly liquid business? Dmitry Счастливый said that there is an intention to sign agreements on buying and selling grains. So highly liquid market is not this business. This is stock market, stock exchanges, when we can withdraw this anytime. But in case of commerce, it is not a highly liquid market because everything may happen. The grains, so the harvest may be poor, the ship may be delayed, the insurance damages, the insurance coverage, and you will take a lot of time to get your compensation. We have the commitments on basalt fiber to make some payments for them to launch in February, March next year. The next dimension is the production of diamonds, rough diamonds. Then we also have the Ural gold segment, and we would like to expand trending in physical gold. And afterwards, based on the profits generated by these segments, we would reinvest into the trade business, grain trading, grain business, because we received quite good proposals with 6 to 8 interest rate a month, and it applies to the precious stone. But non-liquid, so the highly liquid businesses to invest is stock market. Igor Romanenko IPO in December, so he managed to reach 86%. Should we have 10 million, we would get 8.6 million. Therefore, Igor Romanenko now is preparing to go to New York to look for brokers who we will work with, because our purpose that on the stock market we have roughly 100 million US dollars, then the profits will be quite fast, but the market in 2020 will be very volatile, and one of the goals is that by March next year there should be at least 20-30 million on the global stock markets available, and then we would be able with a fast pace to generate some appropriate incomes and profits. And since Igor Romanenko is quite good at knowing how we can make our earnings on downwards markets, so we have some hedge technologies. When the market is on upwards, so we make one type of earning, but when it is in downwards trend, we can use some other instruments that on this market have twofold incomes or earnings. So we also have the profits to be generated. Therefore, liquid markets, they are more or less, they are mostly not about grain trade or trading in gold, but they are about cryptocurrency markets or stock markets. They are liquid. And next time we meet, I will show you, dear friends, for you to understand what currency and cryptocurrency transactions are, which money can be made on these, and our plans for the future. Because another goal of us for the next year is to create a global exchange point of both fiat and cryptocurrencies. We have the license. Next year we will introduce them, the licenses, to work with the crypto market, and we can work with acquiring that work with fiat money. So this market is quite powerful and its capacity is quite powerful. And if you read my story, if you know my story, when in 1992, 1991, I came to Murmansk, a city in Russia, and I also sold some foreign exchange, some foreign currency. For you to understand, being a student in maritime college, I went to some military bases to earn my first dollar. So actually, I bought $5 and transformed this $5 within 1 month to $100. And you will understand which prospects this market has, because the potential of the growth rate of cryptocurrencies is high. There will be thousands and thousands increases. So there will be thousands and thousands of these cryptocurrencies. There would be top stock cryptocurrencies in the world, and they will be exchanged. And on this market, actually, this is a highly liquid market. We will enter, and now we discuss with these guys related to blockchain who shared the technology to us. They would be able to develop it for us, and quite probably we would be able to do with them this global crypto and fiat intervention. So we want to be everything legally binding and valid, and to be supplemented with all the licenses. And actually we will take the first steps, the 4 sessions, 4 webinars of 2.5 hours each about the fundamentals of investing, what you should start from to expand and multiply your money. Well, dear friends, I'm done. I see there are no further questions. Could buy a few accounts under our one first account. Why do you do this? Generally, accounts are bought in binaries. In the back office, study the tools. In the tab Instruments, there are some documents, and study the marketing plan. Well, dear friends, I would like to wish you the following. So New Year is coming. The 25th of December is the Catholic Christmas. I would like to congratulate everything on New Year and Christmas. Some other religions will celebrate Christmas as well, but New Year is an expression of new plans. So next year is going to be full of some changes, but the highest change I would like to wish you in the next year is a change and your shift to hyper speedy thinking, which will determine clearly what you need or what you don't need. Because the flow of information we have, actually, I want you to be very prompt and read more, educate more, and become a progressive personality. Because I want next year, me, Andrey Khovratov, as being a progressive person, I would like to create a community of progressive persons and to create a community of genius of finance, because I am promoted as a genius of finance, and my goal is to create a team of genius of finance for you to manage the money, for money to fly to you, for you to become money billionaires. Actually, we will meditate with you how to magnet the money, how you can absorb these flows of money. So that's all. I'm done, dear friends. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And on the 26th of December, there will be end of the year webinar, 4 hours webinar, and afterwards a very important training for those people who believe themselves to be leaders and would like to have a quite rocket growth in 2020. Bye-bye to everyone.